Hi everybody, Steve here at Riverside National Cemetery in Riverside, California. And I thought I would do something a little bit different this Veterans Day. This is a veterans cemetery, and I just happened to notice that there are a little more than a half a dozen famous veterans here who appeared in some very classic military movies over the years. So I thought it might be interesting to see how many of their grave sites I can find today. When you think about it, I think it's pretty interesting how it blurs the line between reality and fiction. I mean, they all served in the military, and then later they created some of the most classic military movies. So let's go see how many of them I can find today. The first famous veteran that I want to visit today is George Baker, who's laid to rest here in Section 8. And his gravesite is one of the easier ones to find. You just enter through the front gates, you make the first right-hand turn, and then just drive straight until it dead ends. And the section you'll see right in front of you is Section 8. George Baker was a cartoonist who came up with the character Sad Sack. Now, who else besides me is old enough to remember the Sad Sack cartoon? And if you don't remember that, maybe you remember the movie that was made from the cartoon, starred Jerry Lewis as the Sad Sack. It's a military movie and a comedy that premiered in 1957, which was based on Baker's fictional character that he created when he was in the U.S. Army during World War II. In addition to the cartoon strip and the movie, The Sad Sack was also a radio show in 1946. And it's kind of funny and weird to think that every World War II veteran laid to rest in this cemetery was probably entertained and shared a few laughs during their lifetime from George Baker's Sad Sack character. Baker also worked for the Walt Disney Studios on animated classics such as Fantasia, Pinocchio, Dumbo, and Bambi. He died here in Riverside, California at the age of 59 on May 7th, 1975, and I wasn't able to find a cause of death listed anywhere online. Across the street and just 2 sections to the west is the final resting place of military veteran and actor John Agar. He was cremated and his ashes are buried in the ground in the Section 55A cremation niche garden. I'm not really sure which movie he's best remembered for, but John Agar was in the film The Sands of Iwo Jima, another military classic. But he's probably most famous or most remembered, not for his movies or TV shows, for the fact that he was Shirley Temple's first husband. She's laid to rest up in, I think, Palo Alto, south of San Francisco. And he's right here in a cremation niche, just in a couple of rows from the street in Section 55A. So after walking around this section for about a half hour, I came back to the curb and started over and realized that he's only 2 rows in from the curb. I had walked right past his headstone without even realizing it. So I added a GPS to his Find a Grave Memorial page for those of you who might want to visit in person. Agar died from emphysema in Burbank, California on April 7, 2002 at the age of 81. And right behind the green hill off there in the distance that you see straight ahead, that's the entrance gate where I came in. When it comes to the size of this cemetery, I would say it's medium to large. It would probably take you about 15 minutes to a half hour to walk from one end of the cemetery to the other. And I'll continue to pan around here so you can see his headstone one last time before I move on. Continuing west on this same street, another 4 sections, and back on the other side of the street, is one of a number of small outdoor columbariums within this cemetery, and this one is Columbarium C. The cremated remains of Purple Heart recipient and actor Paul Comi are interred here in Courtyard J. Comi's first minor role was in the 1958 military movie The Young Lions, and he also appeared in the 1958 military movie classic Porkchop Hill in the role of Sergeant Krebsberg. Some of you might also recognize him from his TV show roles on shows such as Star Trek and The Twilight Zone. Comi died from Alzheimer's disease on August 26, 2016 at the age of 84 in Pasadena, California. This is a very nice columbarium. They have quite a few outdoor columbariums here. This is certainly a very nice spot that he's in. From here, I'm going to take the street right in front of the columbarium that heads northeast back toward the front gates. Playwright, screenwriter, and artist Donald Bevin is laid to rest here on the right-hand side of the street in Section 53A. And I just arrived at the exact same time as a family arrived at their loved one's gravesite just a few gravesites away, so I'm going to have to come back and film after they leave. I'm just standing in the shade here of a tree There aren't a lot of trees here in this cemetery, not a lot of shade, so it's a very warm day, and I'm just trying to keep cool, as cool as possible. I lucked out today, and the family only stayed for about a half hour, so I'm back now. In 1951, Bevin co-wrote the successful Broadway play Stalag 17. In 1953, it was made into a successful movie, and today it's a military classic. It starred William Holden, and he won the Best Actor Academy Award for his performance that year. During World War II, Bevin's plane was shot down in Germany, and he spent much of the war in a POW camp with fellow captive Edmund Trosinski. The play was based on their experiences as POWs. Bevins was also a very talented caricature artist, and according to his Wikipedia page, worked for many years at Sardi's famous New York restaurant, drawing caricatures to hang on the wall of the restaurant of the many celebrities who visited the famous hangout. He died in Studio City, California on May 29, 2013, at the age of 93, presumably from natural causes. Directly across the street is a very long wall of cremation niches that seems to go on for a mile. This is where the cremated remains of actor Noble Willingham are interred. His niche is located in section BA, row C, site 124. And I'll pan around here to the left so you can get a better idea of what the section looks like. From his niche, you can look across the street and see the area where Donald Bevin is laid to rest. Willingham appeared in the classic 1987 war comedy Good Morning Vietnam, starring actor Robin Williams. Willingham played General Taylor. And I'm sure many of you will also remember him for his role as C.D. Parker on the popular TV series Walker, Texas Ranger, which aired from 1993 to 1999. Willingham died in my hometown of Palm Springs, California, from a heart attack on January 17, 2004, at the age of 72. At the opposite end of the cemetery, or the southeast end, near the Medal of Honor Memorial, is the gravesite of Captain Lillian Kinkella Keil, who became one of the most decorated women in American military history as a flight nurse during World War II and the Korean War. And her experiences during the war were used as the basis of the movie. The 1953 movie was called Flight Nurse, and she also served as a technical advisor for the film. In 1939, she became one of the very first stewardesses, which is what they were called back then. And in 1941, she became a flight nurse for the U.S. Army Air Forces. She participated in more than 400 evacuation flights during the two wars. Keil died from cancer in Covina, California, on June 30th, 2005, at the age of 88. I happened to be here a few weeks before Veterans Day, so I could do this video in advance, but if you happen to come in person on or around Veterans Day weekend, it's especially moving to see all of the small flags that they place at each headstone. This week I want to give a shout out and a very big thank you to my newest Patreon supporters, Michael Court, Paul Ditroya, James Harrington, and Lori Stone. And Lori Stone also shared with me that her father William sadly died in Vietnam at the young age of 31 in 1972 on Halloween. He was a pilot in the Navy and his plane was shot down over Laos. Thank you for sharing the memory of your father with us, Lori. And I'd especially like to say thank you for your service to all of the veterans watching this channel. So if you enjoyed today's video, I hope you'll join me on another by clicking and watching the video shown here. And as always, thanks for sharing the memories.